Alright, I'm talking about chocolate fragrances today. Since I missed doing a video, an updated video this year on chocolate fragrances during the Valentine's holiday, I thought since Easter's just around the corner, I'll update the list or the video today with my current favorite chocolate fragrances. So if you enjoyed chocolatey fragrances, gourmand fragrances featuring chocolate, then please stay tuned. Thanks so much for tuning in. This is Sebastian. Yes, today I'm talking about chocolate fragrances. Fragrances featuring chocolate in the notes. Pretty prominently, most of these feature them pretty prominently. Most of these are gourmands. Some do go in a little direction, but they're quite yummy. They're quite delicious, gourmandy kind of chocolate fragrances. So yeah, Easter is around the corner, and you know we do eat and consume chocolate during this particular holiday as well. And I'm a little late, and better late than never. I'm updating the list today, as I said, with these chocolatey fragrances. Before I talk about the fragrances, though, if this is your first time tuning into this channel and you still haven't subscribed, please do click that subscribe button below and also click the bell so that you'll be notified for future videos and giveaways. So let me know if you're a fan of chocolatey fragrances, and do you have a favorite, a current favorite chocolate fragrance? Let me know. Put a comment down so I can find out. Let's start off with the first one at number 11. This is a ranked list. This is KILIAN's Black Phantom. This I would call a warm, spicy, sweet amber fragrance. And even though the chocolate is there, it's not necessarily all about chocolate. So I am putting it at the bottom because there's a lot of other stuff going on in here. Even though, you know, chocolate comes in, there's a lot of rum in here and a lot more stuff happening. But there's the dark chocolate, rum, caramel, coffee, almonds, sugarcane, sandalwood, and heliotrope. A lot of stuff happening. To me, it's a boozy, coffee, chocolate, caramel kind of experience. And it reminds me of an Irish coffee, kind of that sweet, vanillic, in this case caramelly, kind of a Irish coffee. Very, very popular here at the Buena Vista. If you ever make it to San Francisco, go to that restaurant, a very historic place near Fisherman's Wharf, and you can have an Irish coffee. They're known for that. But this is what this particular fragrance does remind me of that. So Black Phantom by KILIAN starting off the list. Moving on to the house of ATELIER MATERI. This is Cacao Porcelana. This one doesn't necessarily feature chocolate in the notes. It's about cacao, which to me is a chocolatey experience. But in this case, it's a little powdery because, of course, the cacao comes off a powdery experience. Or maybe they're using the pods or the beans themselves. But definitely there's a chocolatiness in here. It's a woody, spicy, amber, woody fragrance with white cacao, Tonka beans, light tobacco, Davana, Patchouli, Immortelle. It's a little sweet. It's also a little floral for me when I wear this one, but it's quite delicious and definitely has a chocolatey presence in it. A little booziness from Davana, a little green booziness from the Davana, and of course the patchouli also adds this kind of like earthy woodiness in the fragrance to give it a great life, I believe. So this is ATELIER MATERI Cacao Porcelana at number 10. Moving on to Dame Perfumery. This is Chocolate Man. Do you guys know this one? You know, this is a delicious chocolatey fragrance, also a little bready. There's like a little nutty breadiness in the background in this particular fragrance. So you do experience that, especially when the fragrance is drying down. It's interesting because I used to eat a lot of chocolate in kind of a baguette-like bread as a kid. Chocolate squares. It was a funny thing. I really enjoyed that as a kid. Or instead of the chocolate in the bread, I would actually do it with Nutella. So this kind of reminds me of chocolate and bread together for some odd reason. Maybe there's a nuttiness in here, like a like a maybe hazelnutty kind of a note in there, but there is that kind of reminder when I'm wearing this one, that kind of bready, yeasty kind of a smell in here. So I would call this a warm, spicy, sweet amber fragrance, and they basically only credit dark chocolate as a note. But you know, you get these other kind of experiences. There's definitely ambery experiences. There's definitely some spiciness, and of course I'm getting the nuttiness, and then of course that breadiness. Like there's an yeastiness about this particular fragrance. So Chocolate Man from the house of Dame Perfumery, a great great one for you to try. The next fragrance I'm talking about is from the house of Unique Luxury. This is Chocolate Makes Me Happy. You definitely need to go watch my video of the Unique Luxury fragrances. I'm about to close that giveaway. If you haven't participated, go. There's a full bottle giveaway of Beverly Hills exclusive from Unique Luxury. And this actually on that list ended up at number 5. Here on this list of chocolate fragrances is at number 8. The reason this is not way at the top, for me, for some reason, I get like when it's drying down, I pretty much get no chocolate and more of a kind of a sweet ambery lavender experience. So I do enjoy it, and I enjoy its intensity. It's quite intense. It's a long-lasting, overwhelming experience. But for me, I'm not left with chocolate when I'm, wearing it, and that chocolatiness kind of disappears. And as I said, I'm left with a kind of a lavendery amber experience. But this is a warm, spicy, sweet amber fragrance with cacao, lavender, dark chocolate, labdanum, cinnamon, caramel, ginger, and benzoin. You might experience the fragrance differently. You might get all chocolate, all creamy chocolate. There's definitely a creaminess about Chocolate Makes Me Happy, but as I said, I'm not getting as much chocolate as I wanted it from this particular fragrance, so I am ranking it a little lower than the rest of the fragrances. But this is Chocolate Makes Me Happy from the house of Unique Luxury. Check that out if you don't know about it, and if you do know about it and you do wear it, what do you experience with that one? Do you get chocolatey dry down with that one? Or are you getting more of a lavender experience? Let me know. Put a comment down so I can find out. Alright, moving on to the house of Strangelove NYC. This is Melt My Heart. Very delicious fragrance experience, but again, it's not an overdose of chocolate. It's more about a lot of other things that are in here. This brand is known for oud, and there's definitely an oudy presence in Melt My Heart, but this is not one of their big oud fragrances. This is more about a gourmandish experience to me. I would call this a warm, spicy, powdery gourmand fragrance with dark chocolate, orris, nutmeg, mandarin orange, ginger, and oud. It is very, very powdery. You definitely experience the orris experience here. Powdery and buttery with dark chocolate, and you've got some spices and some light citruses in here, some zing from ginger, and it's quite comforting and cozy to wear this one. The butteriness from the orris, the powderiness, the butteriness, and the chocolate make for a very calming, soothing, cozy experience. So Melt My Heart from the house of Strangelove NYC is at number 7. Moving on to a chocolate fragrance that's not overwhelmingly chocolatey, but I really like the way this one smells. This is going to the house of BDK. This is TABAC Rose, this one right here. Very complex wearing experience and very, very rosy with the chocolatiness, but this is something I would call like a warm, spicy, sweet floral fragrance with chocolate, tobacco, rose, plum, patchouli, cinnamon, labdanum, pink pepper, lemons. Yeah, it's very, very ambery for sure. It sells to an amber, and there's definitely that chocolate, but the tobacco comes in and gives it a little ashy dirtiness in there. The lots of rose, definitely. I feel like rose, chocolate, and tobacco are what's running the show, but you do experience some plum, the fruitiness from the plum. It's a kind of a dark, fruity experience, not a bright, playful, happy kind of a fruit, just definitely kind of dark, plum, kind of like a wine kind of a fruitiness. But of course patchouli and cinnamon comes in as well to make a very complex wearing experience. So TABAC Rose from the house of BDK at number 6. Moving on to the house of AKRO. This is Dark. Do you guys know Dark? Dark and Awake, and of course Smoke and Night. Those are my 4 fragrances from this house. Of course there's one more, and I'm drawing. Is it Haze? Maybe it's Haze I like also, but I don't care for malt whatsoever from this house. It is overly aquatic marine, like to the major intense aquatic marine experience. But Dark is a really yummy chocolatey experience, and with this one it's kind of a warm, spicy, sweet chocolatey fragrance with dark chocolate, cacao, hazelnuts, vanilla, cinnamon. Definitely the nuttiness is in here. Like this is major nuttiness, and if I'm comparing it to something like Chocolate Man is more like a, if you've ever cooked with chocolate and you're kind of like making chocolate, like melting it, and you can kind of like smear it a lot all over, and it's creamy and it's kind kind of like, you know, melted. That's the kind of experience that one is, more like a kind of a Nutella. This one to me is more granular and dry experience, not so syrupy melted kind of an experience, but it's really, really delicious. The hazelnut's very, very prominent here. Some spice from the cinnamon. The vanilla is also here to sweeten up the cacao and the chocolate experience, but it's quite delicious. AKRO Dark is a great smelling fragrance from the house of AKRO if you don't know it. Moving on to PROFUMUM Roma. This is Sorriso, this one right here. Sorriso is one of a long list of gourmand fragrances from the house of PROFUMUM Roma. The fragrances here in this house are linear. They don't use a you know, top, heart, and base note kind of a breakdown of notes, because these fragrances are oily. And you can actually, you know, rub them in your hand when you spray them. They don't have a rule about burning off the top notes and things like that, which is kind of, you know, makes for kind of a unique fragrance, wearing experience. But Sorriso is all about chocolate. It's a warm, spicy, sweet vanillic fragrance with vanilla, dark chocolate, and bitter orange. And for me, I also get major powderiness in this one. Kind of almost like Heliotrope is here to kind of like boost up the powderiness and make for a very powdery experience. But it's definitely very, very powdery and chocolatey, and of course vanillic, ambery. Light traces of the bitter orange or orange comes in to kind of like you know, add like a contrast to the gourmand notes and add a little citrusy, but a sweet citrusy kind of a touch. So Sorriso at number 4. If you don't know that one, do check that one out. Moving on to the house of Histoires de Parfum. This is 1969. All along, I thought this was a patchouli fragrance. I've mentioned this in other videos as well. One day, back in 2019, when I was visiting the boutique in Paris, I smelled it and I'm like, this is not patchouli. Of course, they have a fragrance called patchouli, what is it called? Patchouli Noir is what it's called. And so I was really shocked, but really loving the particular fragrance as well. That's why I'm ranking it here at number 3. I like this one because it's nice fruitiness, like it's a playful chocolatey fragrance wearing experience. It's warm, spicy, sweet amber fragrance with peach, cardamom, dark chocolate, patchouli, rose, cloves, coffee, and musk. You know, it does have other gourmandish notes in here, but once again, they're kind of, you know, background players, and it does kind of focus on the chocolate, whereas with this one from KILIAN, Black Phantom, you know, all those gourmand notes are fighting to get ahead. So that particular fragrance doesn't kind of make it a full-on chocolatey experience, whereas here you have all these gourmand notes, but still the chocolate is the leader here. It's all about chocolate, but you experience the spices, you experience light traces of rose, but it's a very creamy chocolatey experience. 1969 from Histoires de Parfums. Definitely on the sweet side, definitely comes in as a sweet experience. It's a great smelling fragrance though, if you like chocolate in fragrances. At number 2, we're going to the house of Gallagher Fragrances and Wicked Good. You know, Gallagher Fragrances and their new brand Pearlescent Parfums does make some great gourmand fragrances, and I think Wicked Good is wickedly delicious. It's so, so good. I would call this a warm, spicy, sweet vanillic fragrance with chocolate, tonka beans, and vanilla. It's a very gooey, chocolatey experience, and it wears very ambery and, you know, liquidy, molassesy, syrupy on me. And just imagine that chocolate I was talking to you about earlier, the melted chocolate, and perhaps you're kind of melting it, you're adding vanilla to it, maybe some other creamy elements of some kind of a liquid in there, kind of making it a syrup kind of a thing. That's the way this particular fragrance you know, wears on me. There is a little nuttiness in there. There's some bitter almondy kind of touch from the tonka beans, maybe a little tobacco-ish touch from that tonka bean as well, to add this kind of a light contrast. But it's full-on gourmandish take on chocolate that I am absolutely head over heels for. It smells delicious. Literally is a delicious fragrance. There's definitely powdery elements as well, kind of not as powdery as Sorriso. For me, Sorriso is really, really powdery. Here, there is that light powdery element in there as well, but man, it's a delicious fragrance. Wicked Good at number 2. And for my number 1 favorite chocolatey fragrance currently on the market, it's Xerjoff Symphonium. I've spoken a lot about Symphonium, and I'm absolutely in love with this one. Here with this one, again, it's got oud in it, but for me, the oud is not a main player. It's there to kind of add some contrast, kind of add some backbone, some woodiness from there, from the oud experience. But this is a sweet, citrusy, warm, spicy fragrance with ouds, chocolate, chocolate, mandarin orange, vanilla for one deliciously intoxicating gourmand fragrance. It's all about oranges with chocolates. If you've ever had this delicacy, you understand the kind of smell it is, and it's captured here beautifully. It's really, really delicious chocolate experience, and I absolutely love wearing it. So Xerjoff Symphonium at number 1. Am I missing something? You know, I'm gonna be honest, I still haven't really come full circle on Chocolate Greedy by Montal. That's probably some of you guys' favorite chocolate fragrance. There was something that happened with me in that fragrance, and I kind of like didn't like it. I kind of have gone to it and kind of, you know, sampled it, and it's kind of starting to grow on me, but still I don't own it. And there were also several fragrances that I featured in other videos that are no longer available, so obviously I no longer have them. But this is what I have currently, and they're some of the best chocolate fragrances. But if there is something missing that is on the market that I did not talk about, please let me know, put a comment down so I can find out. And also let me know if you are fans of these particular fragrances. I'd like to know if you've sampled them. Either way, guys, thanks so much for watching today's video. If you have any questions or comments, please list below. Please like this video, please share it, follow me on Instagram and Facebook, and I'll be back with more videos very soon. Have a good one. Goodbye. And we just spoke about Xerjoff as my number 1 for Symphonium. I am offering up one more Xerjoff fragrance because they do Gourmand so well. It's Via Cavour number 1. This is an exclusive fragrance you can buy online on their Xerjoff Universe website occasionally. I don't know if it's there now. It wasn't there a couple of weeks ago, but it's absolutely a delicious wearing experience. I would call this a sweet, fruity, amber, woody fragrance with quince, white peach, rose, dark chocolate, Madagascar vanilla, and caramel for one delicious, fruity, jammy, I guess I would call this a vanilla chocolate experience. Oh my god, it's really, really delicious though. But in this particular one, it's not really a lot about the chocolate. The chocolate is there, it's present, you'll notice it, but I think for me this particular fragrance is about the peach and the quince. And if you like quince fragrances and the kind of a jammy kind of a quince fragrance experience, definitely got to check this one out. And it is a nice, you know, contrast to that chocolate note, a dark chocolate note in here. So this is Via Cavour 1 from the House of Xerjoff, and that's the bonus fragrance for you guys. Thanks so much for watching today's video. I appreciate it very much, and stay tuned for more videos tomorrow. Goodbye.